So I'm Ann Cousins, I'm currently the Director of Customer Success at ProFinda.com. I'm going to talk to you about my career, how random that was, and how I randomly ended up in a tech company. What we do right now, or what you probably have heard and you've all read stories about and you're all interested in, is am I going to have a job in 5 years' time, or is my whole career going to be automated? I think the challenge is headlines like this. Lawyers with expressions we replaced by computers, and there's similar headlines for pretty much every different sector out there. I think the thing to mention, the thing to come back to, is that same lady I did that piece of coding for back 13 years earlier. She didn't go home 2 hours earlier. She still had that amount of time to do stuff, and she just changed what she did. The technology was a means to an end, it wasn't an end in itself. So AI is more or less the same. I think the future of work report came out in 2011, the one that everyone kind of cites by Oxford University. There's actually only been one role in the last 60 years that's ever been completely automated, and that's an elevator assistant. The guy pushes the buttons, because now you push your own buttons. That's the only job that's actually totally disappeared. Everything else has just migrated or changed or evolved. So I think looking at headlines like this, if you read down into a bit more detail, you see that really what they're talking about is replacing the drudge work. And that is what can be automated. That is what probably will be changing. When I said you're going to work just as hard, you're going to work just as many hours, but the work you do should be more fun. It should be more creative, it should be more elevated, it should be more strategic. That's only one aspect of what it could do. I think there are some scary stats. That effectively in the legal sector, the paralegals and legal assistants, yeah, a lot of that work could well be automated. The day-to-day going and doing the checking of the grammar, the typos, the minor nuances and the clauses in each of those contracts, yeah, some of that could be automated, but it doesn't mean that role is going to go, it means that role will change. So don't worry so much about the fact your job is going to be, just think about what your job will actually be about. And a good example of this from my friend George Zarkadakis is using airline pilots and airline stewards as an example of this point, which is once a pilot gets a plane safely from A to B, there's no more value he can add to that journey. If he gets there safely, the job done. You can automate his role of flying a plane. What you can't automate is the steward, because that steward can be enhanced by artificial intelligence. They can know more about their customers, about the clients in the seats. Therefore, they can be more targeted, they can be more efficient in the way they spend their time. Even more value can be added through automation. You can't replace the human touch. So, I guess that one of the points I'm making is when you're thinking about your career choices and what you do, and you're thinking once you're in those career positions, think more about how technology can enhance and add value to the way you're engaging your customers. Don't worry about it being replaced, because if you're thinking only about being replaced, you'll probably get replaced. Be on the leading edge. Be thinking about how technology can make you add more value to your clients. Be the steward or the pilot. The knowledge you have, what you're spending your years right now learning, is going to be super valuable to you in your career. Working really hard to get good grades, working really hard to learn all stuff, is going to be super important. It will always be important, but it will not be the only thing in your career. It will not be the total sum of your career potential or your life potential. People in this room right now, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, will be in roles, will be in jobs, will be in companies where you want a job, or you'll be looking to hire them. So the contacts and the kind of relationships you build right now and how you act with those people is probably much more important than what you actually learn in these 4 walls. So both physical, geographical, technical, your ability to make the most use of those factors is limited by where you are. If you're in a city, great infrastructure, great geography, you've got lots of people to go and meet, lots of people to go and get jobs from and talk to and find relationships with. You're based in the middle of nowhere, and you've only got a technical infrastructure, it's going to limit your ability to form those kind of relationships. So that's what I wanted to impart in terms of one of the things that I've learned, but it's been learned through a hard-fought career where I ended up in really random jobs where my knowledge alone was not that helpful. It was an absolute key supporting factor, but how I acted and how I acted towards those people and how I built those social networks was by far the most important thing I've learned in my career. Credit has generally been a much